Okay, this is a video going over the second free response question on the Chapter 1 review packet. Okay, so the 13-page document that goes over the solutions, you have to scroll down to page 7 to find the second one. Page 7 has the original question, and then just like on the last question, it gives some perfect solutions, and then it gives specifics on what you actually need to get essentially correct as opposed to partially correct or incorrect. Okay, so for part A, I like starting with figuring out what they're actually looking for, what it takes to be essentially correct, and then we'll go back and look at the solution. And again, make sure that you have the document of this downloaded and you're looking at that, because I'm scrolling too fast through this document on the video free to follow. Okay, so for essentially correct for part A, they are looking for a correct estimation method is described and approximate estimates. And anything, they're saying it's between 15 and 16. Okay, so describing the method and giving an answer. So how you describe the method, there's lots of ways to do it. And the one that they did in this packet is pretty formal. You do not need to be that formal to get full points. In general, the method is this. So I went back to my graphs and figured out how high each bar was. For the West, there were 24 data points total. So I thought, okay, half of 24 is 12. So right after the 12th data point and before the 13th is the middle. That's my median right in there. So I'm just start counting up the bars. Okay, so here's one data point. I add another 4, so I've covered 5 data points now. I add another 6, I've covered 11 data points now, which means my 12th and 13th are here in this bar. So that bar is from 15 to 16 as far as their pupil-teacher ratio. So the median is somewhere in the 15 to 16 bar. Same over here. Okay, there are 26 data points total here. So if I have 2, I add another 4, I get 6. Add another 4, I get 10. So 26 I want between my 13th and 14th. So if I'm up to 10, this bar is going to include my 13th, 14th. So that happens to also be the 15 to 16 bar. So we don't know what the exact medians are here, but they're pretty darn close. They're somewhere in between 15 and 16. So if you described that method and give an answer of 15 to 16, you have essentially correct. Okay, the way they did it, where are we? They used a pretty, formal algebraic way of talking about it. But basically, this is more just kind of talking about it in regular terms. You also could have done something like set up a table to show the pattern. That would work as well. Okay, so part B now was the SOC V part. So in this particular problem, what they were looking for, let's get down to the third page where we talk about what they're actually looking for as they grade it. So they are looking for center, shape, and spread, which remember is the same as variability. They are looking for comparative statements. And they didn't make a big deal for some reason in this problem about context. You still should include it because you never know how picky they're going to be. But in this particular one, they decided not to grade based on context. Okay, so if we go back up to the solution, their solution anyway, for part B, let's look for all the things that they are looking for. So they talk about the shapes. They talk about, skewed to the right. You don't need to worry about the unimodal. They don't require that. And symmetric, notice they used an ly word, nearly symmetric, to show that it's not perfectly symmetric, it's just close to it. They talked about the centers, medians, as being similar. And then they talked about the variability. They used range because it's pretty easy to estimate the top and the bottom. But you also, I suppose you could have found the IQR in a similar sort of approximation way. So they're comparing the two about the same. I see that. And then for variability, okay. So for part C, I'm running out of time. So for part C, they talked about, so the distribution for the West ones is skewed to the right, which means they're outliers. There is a tail on the right that is pulling the mean up. So even though they have basically the same median, the mean on the West one is getting pulled up. So you can estimate that the mean on the West would be higher for that reason.